All right, looks like we're going. This is my first time going solo on StreamYard. I'm using the free version, so I got the logo and I got a 2 hour limit each month, so we'll give it a shot. I don't like how red my face looks, but what the fuck. All right, so greetings, YouTube. This is Airborne80. Those that haven't seen me talk, let me just give you this friendly warning or caveat or whatever you want to call it. I do tend to ramble and I tend to tell a story in sequential order. And so if you're looking for a really quick, get to the point video, you need to move on and watch a cat juggling or whatever, because that's not the type of content that I'm putting out. I want to talk about Ukraine and Russia and what's been going on there. But in order to get to my final destination in terms of making a point, I'm going to need to explain to you why I'm sitting here making this video. Um, I will say, I don't know, about a month, maybe a little more than maybe 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks maybe. Who knows? Time flies the older you get. I was watching a channel that I've been watching for years on YouTube, Funkers, and it's got a number. If you just search Funkers, you'll find it. But it's a really good channel if you're into any type of military activity. Being a former Army paratrooper and just into that, I'm interested in military equipment, military tactics. It's just one of those things. If you know, you know. Um, and so they tend their I guess their mission is, as I understand it, is to document combat war footage from all over. It doesn't matter. They're not taking sides. They don't pick a team. They just document and store available footage, while somebody gives it like a little bit of analysis in terms of what you're seeing. It's a really well done channel. A lot of work goes into it, and if you haven't checked out Funkers, check it out. But that being said, I went logged on one day, and here was a video that was shot overhead by a drone, and it was an FPV, first person video of one of the smaller drones being used in Ukraine. And it was basically a fully loaded BMP, a Russian BMP, which is like a transport vehicle, like a fighting vehicle. It was decked out. I believe there were 13 Russian soldiers in total. I may be wrong, but it had, let's say, 8 heavily armed soldiers on top, and then the rest were inside the vehicle, and it's rolling down this road toward a Ukrainian position. And whether or not they knew it, that position had possession of one of the American Bradley fighting vehicles that we had sent over there. And this Bradley, it's out of the shot. You can't see it, but it opens up with its main weapon. Um, the hell is that weapon? I can't remember the caliber of it, but it's just devastating. And as you're watching the rounds hit all around the BMP and hit the BMP and there's a couple other vehicles, BMPs that had been already shot up that are sitting there. You know, it's like if you can imagine getting a drone and hovering it over a section of Utah Beach on the Normandy invasion. This is what it looked like. You would actually get to see what people look like when they're getting just devastated by superior firepower. I watched it many, many times for many different reasons. Tactically, I was trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. How did all these, within a minute, I would say every Russian was dead, and I didn't see one shot fired by them. It was a complete clusterfuck. And at first, I remember I was thinking, my God, man, somebody pop smoke, do something to give yourself a little, some kind of an edge to get the fuck out of there. But it was too late, man. I mean, you had one guy that was trying to tourniquet his arterial spray that was coming out of his severed leg until he bled out. Another dude's head took a direct hit from this whatever this fucking Bushmaster, whatever that weapon is. And then slowly but surely, everybody was either shot to death, bled to death, or burned alive. And the fucking drone is going around. And you're looking at the carnage, and you're like, wow, It's a lot of fucking people that just died, right? I'm watching it, I've seen my share of people die in real life and on video, but this was something new. This whole drone, I've got like 5 drones, sitting behind me, hobby type shit, DJI drones and shit. But this whole being able to watch war in real time and really up close and personal, it struck me. And I remember at the time I was thinking, where the hell are they getting these videos from? Because, you know, for the most part, you can't see a lot of what's going on because it's just there's no platform that's going to allow that kind of carnage. And I did a little bit of sleuth, detective work, and I'm almost 62. So what may seem easy to you young guys, it's hard for me to fucking figure out how to log on to this site to even make this video is enough to send you into an aneurysm. You'll see when you get here. But at some point I figured out. I read something about Telegram, the app Telegram. Now I was a little familiar with Telegram. Excuse me. I was familiar with Telegram because back during the time when I was working with some South Africans, some of you may remember me, some of you may be watching from South Africa. Greetings, South Africa. I love all of you guys. You know, Telegram. I think that was the first time I'd ever heard of that, and it was being used to communicate. There's no restrictions that I'm aware of on Telegram, and I know there's all kinds of different channels, and so I immediately popped open my Telegram, re-uploaded the app. I hadn't used it since God knows when, and it's got a little search bar, and I literally put in there Ukrainian combat footage. Look, man, be careful if you do that shit because I'm a pretty tough dude when it comes to being able to handle things. Although the older I get, the weaker I get up here. From here up, I've noticed that's a whole nother podcast. I mean, shit that used to not bother me at all is devastating. So I don't know if that's geriatric shit going on or I don't know. But um, I was greeted with a never ending upload a list of uploads from directly from Ukraine from the battlefield. These Ukrainians and Americans and whoever the fuck's over there fighting, uploading this footage from these drones. And you can also find the GoPro footage and blah blah blah. Guys on the ground, doing the infantry shit. But I was particularly interested in this new battlefield tactic, the use of the hobby drone. That's just like so devastating. And I'm getting somewhere with this. So just if you're still with me, bear with me. I got to the point where I became obsessed, and I knew it wasn't a healthy thing. But every morning I'd get up, make a cup of coffee, and turn on my my Telegram on my phone and scroll to the new videos. And I'm watching up close, man, high definition videos of Russians being absolutely devastated. Somewhere somebody's literally thinking, man, you're buying the propaganda. Russia's winning the war. It's the Ukrainians. See, this is kind of where I'm going. None of that matters to me at this moment. That's not what I'm talking about. Sorry, man. I got some acid reflux going on or something. Maybe it's the topic, Mike. Who knows? I'm getting weak, I told you. But when I'm talking about up close and personal, I would show you. I would add a clip to this fucking video, but YouTube wouldn't allow it. Russian soldiers walking down a road, and here comes one drone is filming and the other drone is dropping ordnance, or one drone is dropping ordnance and filming. For the most part, though, they seem to have like a videotaping drone that's tracking with the guy with the drone that's carrying like 4 fucking grenades or 4 little more. I don't know if they're fucking little mortars or what. I'm not a fucking ordnance guy. Explosive devices. And they'll drop the grenade. And these pilots, you're going to call them pilots, these drone operators have developed a skill that is, nothing short of mind-boggling in terms of where they can place these fucking grenades, man. You know, I remember at the beginning, I was like, holy shit, they're dropping grenades through the open hatches of a fucking tank. Man, that's nothing compared to the shit I've seen after that. These guys are dropping grenades and mortar rounds literally right into the laps of soldiers that are, sitting there taking a shit in the woods or whatever. They just drop it right in their lap from not real close, but from way the hell up there. Or guys are running or walking down a road and they drop these things and they lead them just perfect, man, so that it drops right at their feet. Uh, so all that's going through my head, and I'm like, man, these fucking guys are very skillful. But what I started really seeing quickly was a trend, and this is why I name. Of course, everything's got to be a little bit of clickbait. I name the video. I'm probably going to name it "War Crimes in Ukraine" because I want to capture the attention here. And what I'm asking at the end of this, you're going to see there's a question that I'm asking because I don't know, man. I mean, I think I know, but I want to know what you guys think. I really do. I want some honest opinions here. But let me continue. One of people are armored up from the waist up, and just like most modern wars, the exposed limbs are what's at risk, and so you get a lot of young soldiers and maybe not so young soldiers, a lot of Russian soldiers who at first impact lose a leg or both legs. I mean, that's common because of just the placement of the ordnance, the size of the ordnance, the shrapnel, a lot of dynamics and factors that are in place in this type of an attack. So what you end up with is a drone looking down at a guy where you can see the expression on their face, you can see the tears in their eyes, you can see food between their teeth, and that's no bullshit. So they can zoom right up into this shit. They zoom up and catch patches. They zoom up for name patches and tags and shit. A lot of Russians will play dead when there's multiple victims. They'll play dead, and you'll see this fucking drone that's videotaping will zoom in and see the eyes looking around underneath the sunglasses or the shades, and figure out that they're just playing dead, and then they kill them. But what ends up happening is you end up with a lot of guys laying there with no legs, blood shooting out, guys bleeding to death, people screaming, mangled bodies, and there's an entire phenomenon of Russians that are, I don't even think I'm allowed to say the fucking word in this new woke fucked up world. This is why you guys haven't seen me in a while, because YouTube is in the West is so concerned about feelings and words that they can't let you communicate or they'll shut you down. So I'll say self delete, and you guys figure out what that means. But there is this strangest increase in the amount of injured Russians or not injured Russians who, at some point, when they realize that the drones are coming, will take their own lives. And they do this in a some pretty common ways that you can imagine, and some are pretty wild. Using hand grenades and things like that. And they show it to you, man. You can see these guys prepping, and they're looking up at the drone, and they do whatever it is they do. I mean, one guy stuck the grenade down in his body armor. People are holding it up against their head. Brutal shit because you're looking at it in detail. Okay, so war is hell, man, Mike. We know that. People get killed. Look, man, the Russians invaded, and blah, blah, blah. None of that's not true. All of that's accurate. So there's two factors that have brought me to sit in front of this fucking camera. One of them is, and I'm just being honest, man. I'm just telling you like it is. Please go check it out if you think I'm exaggerating. The vast majority of the drone kills, the vast majority that I've seen, and I save these videos, not for any evidence. I just that's what I do because I share them with certain people. But the vast majority of these kills are either severely wounded Russians who pose absolutely no threat. I mean, they've got no legs or they're missing a leg. But the other concerning part is that a ton of these videos, the Russians don't even have any weapons. They've thrown their weapon down and they're trying to get away. And it just makes me wonder, and I'm just here to ask your opinions, and I want you to be honest. Was I dreaming, or did there used to be certain rules of war? As dumb as I always thought that was, that you had to have rules of war. I mean, geez, you're there to kill. But let's take your heart and mind out of the whole Russia invaded. and let's just talk about, let's assume it was people from your country, or if you're Americans, it's an American soldier. In your own mind, switch it up. It's Ukrainians and the Russians are doing this. Wasn't there at some point a rule against uh, finishing off unarmed people and more importantly wounded people that were literally defenseless? Didn't the civilized world agree that we don't do that? And isn't that a war crime? Oh, why are you trying to point out war crimes against Ukraine? I'm not trying to point out anything, man. I'm reflecting what I see every single day, including this morning. And I see it over and over and over and over. And there's two factors. This is not the only thing I want to talk about. But the first thing I want is your opinions on, and you keep the politics out of it. You know, I don't care if this is one of, the Hitler's fucking German SS troops laying there. Are we, or are we not supposed to uh, render aid when possible, or at the very least not finish off people that have survivable wounds? So a guy gets his foot blown off and he's tourniqueted. This is one of the examples. He's got tourniquet on there. He's okay. If his people the Russians don't pick up their wounded. That's not what I'm asking. Assuming that somebody's going to pick him up at some point, there's no weapon within reach of him. He's got no vest on. He's lost that. He's taken that off. He's got no grenades. He's got tourniquet on his stump. And yet here comes another drone to blow him to smithereens. Some of these guys are waving. No, don't do this. Don't do this. They're begging. There's a guy holding a little piece of white flag. And these Ukrainians, man, are blowing these people to smither fucking reens, man, whether they're wounded or armed or unarmed or not. Taking politics out of it and whose side you're on, is there a problem with that, or is it just fucking me? Am I the only guy seeing that? And now I want to move into the comments that I see and how that concerns me. Each one of these videos has a comment section, and the majority of comments are from Western people. And 99.9% of the comments on shit like that are, God, I could watch these fucking orcs bleed out all day long, man. I'm sitting on the toilet. These are direct actual comments. I'm sitting here taking a nice healthy shit and enjoying the hell out of watching these orcs die. Man, and the minute somebody says anything in there, and I know this because I've piped in, man. I put in there what I said. I have a certain. I use it so often. It's like on my clipboard, and it says, anybody who truly enjoys watching another human being die is either a psychopath or somebody who's never been in the unfortunate position to take somebody's life under any circumstances. And I mean that. Okay, having to take a life is a motherfucker if you are not a psycho, even when the person deserves it. And I speak from experience. It shouldn't feel good in my mind. Maybe I'm fucked up, but I don't think that should be like a cool thing. Especially when we're talking about these people that we know are mobilized. The big thing in the comment section is, fuck these guys, man. They had a choice. They didn't have to be there. They could, then somebody else will say, well, they'll go to prison. Well, then go to fucking prison, man. Go to 10 years of prison. You don't go into somebody's territory and kill them. And, so easy to say from your fucking love seat, while you're sitting there eating your fucking Cocoa Puffs. That's so easy to say, really 10 years in a fucking Russian prison, or going to the fucking military, and you've also lived an entire life of being, look, there, but for the grace of God go I. If we were born in Russia, me and anyone listening to this, that's our country. We don't get to pick where we're fucking from. We are from where we're from, and I don't see how anybody could righteously enjoy watching young Russian men bleed to death. That's not the same as me saying I don't think Russia should be invading other countries. The fact of the matter is, I don't think they should be there. And I won't get into the whole, well, they're there for this reason, or maybe their reasons are right. The fuck was that beep? But I have my own beliefs, my own feelings on Ukraine. I got my bloodline leads right to Ukraine on my father's side. But I can tell you this: I won't be around to see it because I'm getting in the fourth quarter of my life. But it won't surprise me. We will help Ukraine and we'll arm Ukraine and we'll do this. But you watch and see, man. If at some point the Ukrainians don't hate our guts and turn against us, that's just I could make a whole video on why I think that is probable. That's just historically what happens. I mean, the Ukrainian people are not bad people as far as I know. The Ukrainian government, and it always comes down to the government, but yeah, the Ukrainian government has a lot of corruption just like ours. And I'm kind of going off the rails here, so let's just cut that. But I'd like to get your opinion on these fucking people who absolutely thrive on watching people die because according to them, they're on the wrong side of history. These evil Russians deserve to die. This evil 19-year-old Russian who comes from who the fuck knows where in Russia, who's now laying there screaming for his mother as he bleeds out in some fucking mud pit. That's something cool. People enjoy watching that. Does that not bother you as a person? And that's my question. So I have two questions. One is, are any of these things war crimes? And the other question is, does this reveling in the bloodbath when it comes to dying Russians, is that nothing to raise an eyebrow about, or is that perfectly acceptable to people? I don't know. I don't know, man, because it's not acceptable to me. And quite frankly, I don't think it's very tactically sound. I mean, if I was a Ukrainian commander, I'd be like, hey, man, what the fuck are you killing these people for? You wound one guy and you fucking take up a shitload of more resources than if you kill everybody. One wounded fucking guy takes how many people to fucking carry him out? How many people to fucking render aid? Now you got to transport his ass back off the line to medical. This ties up units. It's better to wound than to fucking kill. But maybe that's just me, and I'm certainly no fucking high-ranking military dude. Anyways, that's kind of the crust of what I wanted to say or ask, and I'm just curious to see what your responses will be. And please, man, and if you don't want to form an opinion, at least let me know whether or not you like this type of video or not, because I've had a lot of people ask me, how come you're not active on YouTube and blah blah blah, and it's like I always say, once they shut my main channel down, man, years ago. I was a 12-year-old channel and I had a lot of subscribers. I put a lot of work to put 12 years of hard work into it. It just took the fucking fire out of me. And now I'm just kind of playing Call of Duty and saying, fuck it, let the world burn. But let me know what you think. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. And I got to figure out how to end this fucking thing. And yeah, check out StreamYard. It looks like a cool deal. Kind of expensive though. I mean, I think they wanted like $29 a month or maybe even more. I got to look into it, but it's a little bit expensive for me, man. I mean, I'm on a fucking limited income. But anyways, let me know what you think. And if you'd like to see more content like this or more just random shit that I usually post. In the meantime, stay safe and thanks for watching. Airborne 80, I'm out.